Our next speaker is Cade Burks, the founder and chief digital officer of Big Data Energy Services. Mr. Burks has been heavily involved in developing new services around smart meters and transmitting electronic data. He has his degrees from Texas A&M University, and we are looking forward to your remarks. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much. Yes, thanks for having me. I think everybody in the room probably saw this week a lot about President Trump directing Secretary Perry in some areas around nuclear and coal, and one of the things that was the downside was the natural gas ability to resiliency and reliability. So my discussion today is about natural gas. I am a chief digital officer and as my wife would say, a data geek, so I'll be able to, I appreciate your comments earlier, Cameron. So the electricity grid is becoming more dependent on the natural gas transmission system, as natural gas is becoming the primary fuel mix for generating electricity. Market and regulatory participants such as the Department of Energy, FERC, the ISOs, the RTO, NERC, and other agencies like TSA have limited ability to foresee potential threats to the electricity grid posed by the natural gas supply. Major interruptions in the natural gas supply can result in resiliency and reliability issues for the electricity grid. To improve on these issues and other security of the nation's energy framework, a gas transmission operational digital twin needs to be developed and operated that allows monitoring and simulation of current physical natural gas transmission assets. The pipelines are the first line of defense for cybersecurity attacks, but who provides the backup for the pipelines? The Transportation Security Agency, TSA, by the Aviation and Transportation Act of 2001, established their jurisdiction over the pipelines security. With over 90% of the budget for TSA focused on aviation, the TSA is just basically able to monitor the pipelines, have a security plan in place. The entire natural gas transmission system, which represents over 2.6 million miles of pipelines, needs situational awareness when a cyber attack occurs. Analogy would be a local police force that can handle the primary protection. But when certain events are required, backup for the National Guard, backup such as the National Guard, the FBI, state police, etc. So there's no cybersecurity backup for the pipelines. So generally, the Department of Energy owns the jurisdiction of the gas molecules in the pipeline. The FERC owns jurisdiction of the gas markets. But who owns really the data that's required to provide the situational awareness of cyber attacks on the natural gas system? The gas transmission operational digital twin would provide the situational awareness of the impact of those threats in defense of the cyber attacks. As many of the speakers have mentioned earlier, and I appreciate everyone's comments, is that there's a vast number and sophistication of cyber attacks that are only increasing in the future. So one thing I'd like to point out that was a bit concerning was everyone can Google this, is the Black Hat Hackers Conference. I think a lot of people are aware of this happening coming in August. It's an annual event. But there they offer training for how to attack a SCADA system, or ICS. So it's a pretty, if you read through the training, it's pretty eye-opening. I will also mention one other event that occurred here in April that didn't affect the pipeline's operations, but did affect the economics. So a large EDI provider suffered a cyber attack in April. Bloomberg Energy reported one of the EDI provider's customers, Energy Transfer, stock price dropped about 2.5% via that announcement on April 2nd. With a market cap of approximately $18 billion, that represents a decline of $450 million in market cap. Now, by the end of the day, it had only dropped by 0.4, so it came up a little bit, but that still represents a $72 million decline in Energy Transfer stock price. This was not the only pipeline company that was affected by that. So I'd like to talk a little bit more about the digital twin. So a digital twin needs to be developed and operated that allows monitoring and simulation of current physical natural gas transmissions assets. The digital twin requires near real-time operational flow and physical asset component catalog data. The digital twin will increase the resiliency and reliability by using algorithms to simulate cybersecurity threats, thus leading to better coordination between the natural gas and electric industry. The digital twin has the ability to simulate cybersecurity threats, predict supply disruptions, simulate weather threats, and simulate siting decisions. The operational flow practice standard would be used to feed the digital twin the flow of natural gas through the pipeline assets. The digital twin would model these physical pipeline and storage data, including compressor stations and delivery and receipt points. The operational flow data needs to support the near real-time activity and be capable of identifying shortages caused by weather or other cyber threats. The component level business practice standard and tool will be used by the digital twin to identify risk and their impact based on real and simulated cyber attacks. The digital twin would use the component level data to assist the impact of attack on the compressor stations and the other delivery and receipt points. The depth of data on each component should match the risk of shutting down that natural gas supply. The asset management of the components will need to include computer chips. We give thanks out to co-author Harrison Burks for this, and thank you very much for all the speakers before. I learned a great deal of information, and thank you Lexington Institute for having me. So.